This is breaking news.
Good afternoon, I'm Dana Tyler. We're following breaking news on Staten Island. A large fire has seriously injured 3 firefighters who have been taken to Staten Island University Hospital. 5 firefighters suffering minor injuries. This fire, we have pictures now, Arden Heights, south central Staten Island, broke out just before 2 this afternoon in a 2-family house. There was a resident home, as we understand, not injured. We'll hear from the residents. Let's get right to the scene. CBS 2's Nick Caloway. Nick.
Well, Dana, yeah, this afternoon you could see heavy smoke and flames pouring out of the house behind me. Luckily, that fire is now under control. Take a look behind me at the scene as it stands right now. There are dozens and dozens of fire trucks here in the area of the scene. We are told that all firefighters are accounted for, but at least 8 firefighters were injured. 3 of them are seriously injured. The other 5, as you mentioned, are minor injuries. Now, that fire started just before 1:30 this afternoon here on Shotwell Avenue, and it quickly grew to a 4-alarm fire. Firefighters have been battling that fire ever since. Now, we are told the rear of the home has collapsed. Now, those 3 seriously injured firefighters were taken by ambulance to Staten Island University Hospital North, where I'm told the fire commissioner is expected to be at some point this afternoon. Now, just a few minutes ago, we did hear from the people who live in that house that was just wrecked by fire.
So you're literally out of town. You're rolling up on your own neighborhood, and you see smoke coming from your house.
No, my son called us and he said, "You better come home really quick." We were only shopping. We were only a little bit away, and he said, "Come home." And then, as we're coming home, we heard the fire engines, and we saw the smoke, the black smoke from about ahead.
So are the 2 homes attached?
Yes.
So you live on the one house?
I'm in the right side. Our neighbors on the left. Looks like they sustained a pretty good amount of damage. I don't think as much as our side, but I saw flames coming out the back side of the window. My son was home, and he saw flames coming in the back of the house, outside, and he called us. We ran home. He called 911. They evacuated the house. The neighbors got out, and now this is what we came home to.
And now you're homeless?
Well, I suppose so, unless you got a spot for me to live with you.
How's your son doing?
He's fine. He's right here.
Yeah. Sir, how you doing?
Good. I'm just glad that everyone's safe and the dog is safe. That's what matters.
And you were home when it happened? What did you see?
All I noticed was that a circuit breaker flipped. I was working and I lost internet, and I saw the circuit breaker flip, so I went to go turn it on and it wouldn't turn back on. So then I went downstairs and saw smoke coming in from the back area of the house.
Just a scary situation here. I'm also told that Mayor Adams is being briefed on the situation. You can see fire trucks here in the area, here in front of the house, and there are dozens of fire trucks stretching up and down several blocks in this area. So there are several road closures for about 4 blocks in every direction as firefighters remain on the scene. The fire is under control, I'm told, but they are remaining on scene, putting out hot spots. Dana?
Listening, Nick, to Vinnie Polizzi talking about just being inside, losing the internet, and then realizes the circuit breaker issue, and then the smoke and the flames. He gets the dog. He calls 911. He calls his family. But 4 alarms, and part of the home collapsing because, again, 3 firefighters are in serious condition, suffered really bad injuries. You know, when you look at the house, and again, this is a 2-family house on Shotwell Avenue, a whole row of them, built in 1980. It really makes you wonder just about what they had to go through. Earlier, we did see some of the firefighters on the roof there. Have you been able to talk to any other people there about what it was like, especially when those flames were just so intense, the smoke so black?
It was a very intense scene here earlier. We've been talking to neighbors a little bit who just, the same thing. They report that it was a lot of smoke, a lot of flames. The firefighters were on the roof, and then the scary part is we are told that the back part of that house did collapse, and so scary situation for those residents who were here at the time, and then a scary situation for those firefighters who were here trying to put out the flame, trying to make sure that lives are saved. And as we know, 3 firefighters seriously injured. We came in from Manhattan, and pretty much the entire drive here to Staten Island, there were fire trucks, there were fire chief vehicles, there were command vehicles coming through, and so this scene literally stretches for blocks in every direction. Here on the street, there are dozens, maybe even hundreds of firefighters, but then there are neighbors, hundreds and hundreds of neighbors just kind of standing around, hoping that everybody is okay. Really, again, for blocks and blocks in every direction. It's a huge scene, and you can tell just how severe the situation is for those firefighters, because there are so many people here, so many fire investigators here, and luckily, as we heard, those homeowners are okay. It seemed like a very scary situation as they first realized that this fire was starting, and it spread quickly. And again, those firefighters came in to do their job, to save lives, and as they often do, they put their lives on the line here in service of this community. Dana?
A 4-alarm fire. Nick, you mentioned neighbors, so we spoke with a neighbor, one of our crew members before you got there, who came outside seeing flames shoot from the back of the home. Let's listen to what she said.
Just a couple of houses away. What did you see?
Well, I heard all the fire engines and police officers, and when I looked out the window, I saw flames shooting out of the back of one of the houses. And then I came down here with my husband. We really don't know what happened, who's in there. We heard there was a collapse, and we saw them take away 3 firemen on stretchers. And really, that's all I know. All I know is the firemen, they are unbelievable, really.
Do you know who lived in the home?
I really don't know. No, I don't.
What's your reaction to a giant fire like this happening?
It's shocking because, it's a close neighborhood, and you may not know everybody individually, but everybody looks out for one another. It's just heartbreaking. It really is.
Have three firefighters who moved to the hospital. We don't know the condition of them because there was an interior collapse.
Yes, that's what I heard. There was an interior collapse, yes. But I really don't know much more than that, except it's heartbreaking.
And you don't know your neighbors over there in the room home, do you?
No, I mean, the lady in the brown house, I had talked to her last year because I admired the color of her house, and we was redoing our house. She was so lovely, but I really don't know much more. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Again, one of the neighbors who saw the flames, the heavy, intense flames and smoke of this home on Staten Island, the fire breaking out sometime around 1:30, in between 1:30 and 2, 4 alarms. She said she saw the firefighters being put on stretchers and taken. They were seriously injured. 3 firefighters suffered serious injuries. Staten Island University Hospital North, we're waiting to hear from the commissioner. 5 suffering minor injuries. Let's get back out to the scene to Nick Caloway. And we know there's so much, of course, left to do. And Nick, looking behind it's poignant to see the American flag there, blowing in the wind and certainly scorched, but not completely burned. And although there have been injuries, there were no injuries of the people, the young man who was in the house.
Yeah, that flag is still flying, as you said, Dana, and it is remarkable that the people that were in the house were uninjured, and they must have moved quickly. And it also speaks to those firefighters who came in so quickly to do their part and to do their service to this community. There's a lot more to do, Dana. Yeah, the investigation is probably in its infancy right now to figure out what started the fire. And they'll move on from there. As I mentioned, the scene stretches for blocks and blocks, and actually just a minute ago while we were listening to that neighbor speak. A firefighter came up to us and said that in just a couple minutes they're going to have to move us out of the way a little bit because they're bringing in more heavy equipment. Just a sign that they're going to be, they have command vehicles coming in. They're going to be here on the scene for a long time this afternoon and probably stretching into this evening, figuring out what happened and just processing the scene, Dana.
All right, Nick, stand by for us. Right now.